It was going to be my birthday in exactly 10 minutes. I was turning 18. That magical birthday when wolves found their mates and everything finally slid into place in their world. I felt butterflies in my belly at the thought of finally meeting my mate. I was about to sit down when the door of my room suddenly barged open. Here came my biggest tormentor. "Well, well, isn't this cute?" Lyra drawled, her voice warm and friendly, making my skin crawl as she invaded my personal space. Lyra was the daughter of my Pax Beta. She was everything I wasn't. Tall, blonde, lithe, effortlessly powerful and beautiful. She delighted in torturing people beneath her station, and I couldn't count how many beatings I had gotten because of her. She was also drunk, judging from the strong smell of booze that followed her as she stepped in. I backed away instinctively. She covered her mouth with an exaggerated gasp. "Little Astrid made a cute little cake for her birthday." My cheeks burned, and I hugged myself, avoiding her gaze so she would take my words as a challenge. "Please leave." Before I could blink, she slapped me tightly across my face, making my ears ring. "Who do you think you are talking to, runt?" Hot tears ran down my cheeks as I bowed my head to her. I could not stand against her. She was stronger than me, as the Beta's daughter. Even now I could feel her dominance push against me. "I'm sorry, Lyra." My apology wasn't enough, because the next thing I knew, she had shoved me to the ground. "How dare you think to talk back at me?" Lyra growled from above me. I didn't dare move before Lyra hit me as she always did. Suddenly, I felt a charge in the air of the room, and a low growl that sent shivers up my spine. "Enough." I didn't look up, but I would know that voice anywhere. It was Xavier, the heir to my pack, the Moonshadow Pack, my childhood friend and my crush for as far back as I could remember. Someone touched my shoulder, making me tremble. I saw Xavier's bigger, more muscular hand cover mine as he pulled me up to my feet. Xavier was stunning. His hair was a dark coffee brown, his eyes a shade lighter, but just as intoxicating, his body so beautifully built. Those brown eyes were wide in concern as he looked at me. "Are you all right?" My voice couldn't function properly. Was I dreaming? I'm fine." Xavier's concerned look disappeared beneath a wicked smile that made my heart drop. "Do you think I actually care about how you feel?" "Xavier." I was cut off by Xavier grabbing me at either side of my face, yanking roughly towards him as he snarled at me. "How dare an Omega like you not know your place? You will call me by my rightful station." I let my eyes fall from him along with my tears. Ever since my 13th birthday had come and gone with no sign of my wolf, Xavier's behavior towards me had changed. Instead of protecting me, he had joined the wolf cubs, continually tormenting me. What had I expected? For him to treat me differently today of all days. "I'm sorry, Alpha Hare." Lyra's gaze sharpened as she caught onto his arm, pulling him away from me and latching onto him as though I wanted to take him from her. "She's so pathetic, babe," Lyra said snidely. Xavier's gaze on me was as degrading as ever. "You are right. She is utterly disgusting." He looked back at Lyra, his gaze softening as he kissed her on her forehead, making her smile. My heart twinged slightly. I should have looked away, but I couldn't. Xavier seemed to sense my gaze on him because he looked up at me, his anger returning. "I don't know what Dad was thinking, letting her live here with us." The fact that I wasn't a real member of this pack was the origin of all my problems. No one knew my roots, just that I was brought here. After my 13th birthday, without a wolf to secure my official ranking, the pack members became more hostile to me. I looked at Xavier, and for the first time in a long while, I found the courage to stand up to him. "Xavier, we were friends once. How can you be so heartless?" Xavier glared at me. Remembering we were once friends makes me feel so disgusted. His words hurt me far more than I thought they would, considering the fact that he had not hidden his disgust with my powerlessness all this while. He didn't seem to notice the hurt on my face as a sneer broadened on seeing my cake. "It's her birthday?" Lyra giggled, her arm firmly linked with Xavier's. Look, she even put a little timer. She can't wait to meet her very own pathetic mate, who will be a weak, wolfless omega like she is. My cheeks flushed for the second time that night. Wolves are usually matched according to strength. I would probably be linked with an omega like myself. I didn't mind, but the way Lyra said it made it sound like a bad thing. Sadier's eyebrows went up with a sight-mocking edge to his voice. Is that true? You can't wait to meet your mate? I looked at the floor, twisting my fingers together, hoping that both of them would just leave me alone. Xavier must have read the truth on my face, because his next statement was as cutting as it was honest. Well, don't get your hopes up, Astrid. No one, not even a hopeless omega, will want you to be their mate. His words made me want to cry, to bawl my eyes out and cry, but I couldn't do that yet. Xavier and Lyra were waiting for the slightest provocation to laugh at me. My silence seemed to displease Lyra, who pushed my cake to the floor. The candles went out, and it scattered in a creamy smear across the floor. A soft gasp escaped me, and this time I couldn't stop the flood of tears that escaped me. It was a small thing, just a cake, but they couldn't even let me have this one thing. Lyra smirked at me viciously before smiling up at Xavier. There's no need for a cake if there's no celebration, right, babe? But Xavier's eyes never left my face. He seemed to be enjoying the sight of me in pain, in tears. She should eat it off the ground, like the trash that she is, he mocked. Lyra laughed pettily. At this point, Xavier, I can't wait to see her mate. Her blue eyes sparked with dark amusement. Maybe we can go on double dates together where they wait on us. It'll be so much fun. Xavier laughed as though she had said something very funny, before dropping a small kiss on her mouth that was barely a step away from a full-blown makeout session. They acted like I wasn't there, like I didn't matter. To them, I probably didn't. I was no one. Nothing. Just a wolfless omega to toy with. My timer went off with a loud sound that startled them apart from their kiss, and my world stopped. My world doesn't stop exactly. It was full of color and scents, an intoxicating scent in particular that had me taking a step forward in search of the origin of that delicious scent. Xavier took a step towards me and put gazes locked. Mate. The words escaped me in a shocked gasp. How could Xavier be my mate? How could I feel so drawn to my tormentor? Lyra paled, looking between the both of us, a curse escaping her. What the heck? Her words seemed to draw Xavier out of the trance he had been in since the timer went off, and his face hardened as he took a deliberate step away from me. You can never be my mate. You are nobody. My heart broke, but that was only the beginning. My mate wasn't done tormenting me just yet. I, Xavier Blackwood, future heir of the Moonshadow Pack, reject you, Astrid Nightshade, as my mate. The pain of my mate rejecting me slammed into me, making me gasp as I rocked back, my body shaking and vibrating. I had heard of people rejecting their true mate, yet I had never thought that it would happen to me. Somehow I had thought surely the moon goddess wouldn't be so cruel as to give me a mate that wouldn't care for me, in addition to all my troubles. I had been wrong. I didn't even know how it was possible for a wolfless omega like me to have a mate like Xavier. I wasn't as strong as Lyra, so why me? What I knew was that I was in a world of pain. To think that if I had a wolf, the pain would have been twofold of what I was feeling now. Guess there was a good side to being a wolfless omega after all. Xavier wrapped his arm around Lyra, and the stab of pain in my chest made my knees weak beneath me. I wanted to crawl under my covers and hide. But I had been doing that my whole life. Hiding because I was a powerless omega, hiding to avoid the people who would hurt me. Hiding because maybe if I lived quietly enough, they would let me live in peace. That none of that had worked anyway. I was done with that. I stood up to Xavier, my mate who had rejected me. I used to love you, I told him, knowing that I might still love him, but it didn't matter anymore, because to him, my status mattered more than our mate bond. Tears filled my eyes as I continued speaking. We had so many beautiful memories together, but that only blinded me to the monster you have become. Monster, you runt! Lyra lashed at me, her claws tearing across my face. He is my mate, not yours. Blood dripped down my face, staining my hand as I cupped my cheek. Xavier watched on, unmoved, as his girlfriend assaulted me. This was not the sort of mate I wished to have. You can have him, I told Lyra before turning to face Xavier. I also don't want you, Xavier. I also refuse to accept you as my mate. I saw the shock on Lyra's face and the anger on Xavier's. He bared his teeth at me. Do you think you have any choice? It was as if no one had ever rejected him. I am an alpha. Soon I will inherit this pack. You think I want a mate as weak and useless as you are? I didn't say anything as I watched him, waiting for him to finish what he had to say. He looked at me from head to toe with barely concealed hatred. The moon goddess has made a big mistake. I smiled. At least I had gotten to him as he had me. Don't worry, Xavier. I will remedy that. I, Astrid Nightshade, reject. Stop. We all collectively froze as the growl of Xavier's father, Alpha Finn, filled my room. He walked in authoritatively, his dominant aura making all of us apart from Xavier bow. Alpha Finn was the one who had brought me to this pack, and while he was always busy with his pack duties to notice how bad the bullying got, he was always caring and nice to me whenever we interacted. I had come to even see him somewhat as a fatherly figure. Alpha, I bowed lower. Alpha Finn, Lyra echoed. Dad, what are you doing here? I raised my head in time to see Alpha Finn give Xavier what had to be the harshest glare I had seen him give his son. Stopping you from making the biggest mistake in your life.